Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Sin Permiso, a Latina lifestyle podcast. Welcome to another edition of Sin Permiso podcast, a Latina lifestyle podcast. And today we have Latinas in the house.
Hey.
I am very excited to have these two ladies here. We have Kelly Garcia from Chelsea City Council, along with Melinda Vega, as well from Chelsea City Council. We are seeing many women getting into politics lately. We Latinas are a force to be reckoned with. We always get stuff done. So it's no surprise that women are riding the wave, are telling it how it is, are getting shit done in politics and in City Hall. Welcome, ladies. I have some questions for you today.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. And these aren't just like newbies. They have 10 years in politics. I know they look like they're in high school, but that's a Latina thing, right? So they have 10 years in politics. So I have a few questions because I know people want to know more. There's a lot of people out there listening, young men, young women that, have their sights set on politics and are very interested in how to get in politics. How does it begin? So let's start off with Melinda. How did you get into politics? How did you find it was your passion, and what, helped you or who mentored you to get in?
So, many people may know my family from Chelsea. I come from a strong, prominent Latino family, the Vegas. So I feel like we were born and bred into this role.
You guys are cousins, right?
Yes, that's mi prima.
So it's definitely in the blood.
Ya tú sabes. La sangre llama. So I feel like, we were born and bred into this. My mom and my uncle are strong Latino community organizers. My uncle's the first Latino to be a politician in Chelsea. So this is all we know. Aside from growing up in it, I want to share an experience that I had when I was a freshman in high school. And I think, I know that is something that marked, made a statement in my life and made that connection. And so when I was a freshman in high school, Chelsea High, one of my teachers, one time we were giving her a hard time, and she was an amazing teacher, I will never forget. But that day, all the youth were not having it. And so we were giving her a hard time, and she was fed up with us. And I would never forget, she slammed the books on the table to get our attention. And she was like, I've had enough. And we're like, una gringuita, in a room full of Latino young people, And she was like, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. I need you guys to focus and work with me. Do you know what these teachers say about you? I work so hard to make this curriculum interactive and fun for you young people, and you guys don't respect that. And I want to tell you what these other teachers say. And we were like, what do they say? And she said, you know what they say about you, Chelsea young people or Chelsea youth? And I'm like, ya se me está parando los pelos, I want to know. And she was like, they say Chelsea's a jail cell. Don't work hard on building a curriculum. They're not, Chelsea's a jail cell. They will never leave Chelsea.
Wow, se me pararon los pelos a mí también.
I know, ¿te imaginas? And so that's something that impacted me, that teachers that were teaching our students in the Chelsea school system were saying, don't waste your time on Chelsea.
Because they're not getting anywhere.
They're not getting anywhere, and Chelsea's a jail cell. And let me tell you something. Chelsea's not a jail cell. I've made Chelsea my home. Yes, I was raised there, and I've made it my home. And because of that, I've made it a statement to say, I choose to stay in Chelsea because I want to make Chelsea a better place, not only for myself, because I worked my ass off, to make it, accommodating for other folks to enjoy the diversity, the good food, the culture that Chelsea brings, right? But I also, our family has worked hard. I love saying, walking around Chelsea, I can say I was part of that. Building that park, building that park. I had a play in that. I was part of the decision-making process, and I can tell them what it is. So Chelsea's not a jail cell. I decided to stay in Chelsea because I want to make a difference. I want to be a change agent. And, it's made me who I am.
That's incredible, the pride that you display when you talk about it. A lot of us, we are proud of where we live in our hometown. But it's a different level when you're actually participating in making the city better and you can walk by and say, I was part of that playground, I was part of that decision. That's definitely something that's, inspiring for many. And as being Latinas, right, I'm sure that you faced challenges, in politics. So I'm going to ask you, Kelly, what are some of the challenges that you feel that you faced as being a minority in politics, but not just a minority, a woman, a female?
Yeah, great question. We can be here all day tomando café, maybe a margarita from this subject, right? So I ran when I was 21, and Melinda ran when she was 18 years old. And so we both started our
Fairly
political
young.
life at a very young age. However, I was the first teacher on the school committee, and over the years, I was on the school committee for 8 years. And it took a lot of patience and a lot of proving people wrong, right? That just because I'm a super young face, I look like a baby, doesn't mean I'm not about my business. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to get a Latina superintendent to rule our school, not to rule, but like to run our schools, right? And so, diversity is everything for me, and it is something that we work on every single day, not only on the city council but on the school committee. And so, ensuring that teacher diversity is a key driving factor in all of our 5-year plans. It's my my role, not only on the school committee but on the council, is to show our youth, our young people that are looking up to us, that they can be in our seats as well. We are every day we're breaking that barrier and making sure that when we're visiting schools, when we're walking down the Broadway, down the downtown area, hey Kelly, I'm like, hi.
All those little girls want to
Yes.
be you.
Yes.
That is
Listen, let me tell you a quick story. I went to Home Depot. I love Home Depot, by the way. And one of my, I taught for 8 years, and now I'm an administrator at the high school in East Boston. And one of my students was like, Miss Garcia, what are you doing here? I'm like, honey, I'm human.
I go to Home Depot
I go to Home
too.
Depot too. And he was like, oh my gosh, but you're like a politician. You're like a celebrity. I'm like, qué lindo. I'm like, no, my love. Like, no. But if you are, anytime I engage with a student, I ask them, what do you want to see? What do you want to see? What do you want to change in our city? Tell me. Come to our meetings. And any chance we get, we both engage our youth because they are ultimately our future.
So you just answered another one of my questions, which was going to be, how do you stay in touch with your constituents? And you just answered it, asking them, what would you like to see?
Yeah.
How do you want to get involved? Because sometimes, no matter, even though we think we know it all, there's always going to be that fresh perspective from the students of something different that maybe you guys didn't think about.
Yes. And they'll let you know what they're thinking. They're very honest.
So I wanted to ask you as well, how can community members support your work or collaboratives, a lot of your incentives? How do you feel that you, Melinda, have your community support you guys and, go to events, talk to local politicians? What would you think are one of the things? Because a lot of people listening always wonder, like, what can I do? How can I support?
So here's two things. I think in politics and in general, first and foremost, I always say prior to being a politician, I am a community organizer, and I always wear that hat wherever I go. I think it's important, meeting people where they're at. So the reason I want to answer this in two different ways is it's important not. There's, especially in the Latino community, right? And I say this especially in the Latino community because it's true. There's this stigma that they don't want to be involved. The reality is, it's not that Latinos don't want to be involved, is that the realities of our community is they're working multiple jobs, and they're not only supplying for their own families here, but back home.
They're taking care of people back
so
home.
they're taking care of the people back home. So I think the reality is that we have to meet people where they're at. I love cafecito. I love cafe. So like I am a person that, I would go to your house, have coffee, and listen, let's talk. Vamos a chinchar un poquito. You tell me what are your concerns. For me, it's building that trusting relationship with that individual because, in order as a politician, we have the position we have because people voted us in. It's not by popularity vote. And to say like it's also their job to hold us accountable. If I'm not doing a good job at being a city councilor, they don't have to vote for me. And so I don't have like it's the people have the say.
They do.
So for me, it's meeting people where they're at, listening to their needs, and ensuring that when we're building policy, when we're doing initiatives, we're capturing what their needs are in this so that they're part of the decision-making process. And for individuals that have the opportunity, that want to be more involved, there's different commissions, there's different groups and things that you can be a part of.
Very welcoming, it seems.
Yeah.
Very welcoming for everyone who wants to bring in their point of view, bring in
And
their
we
2
welcome
cents.
that. Like,
That's awesome.
it's so important.
Our favorite thing is actually bingo night.
Yeah, we just before here we had a
We
bingo.
just had a bingo night with our veterans. Like that is our
Oh. I'm sure
favorite
that's the
thing.
highlight of their
Yes.
week or their month.
Yes.
And you were talking about cafecito just now. It's funny because I was on La Hora del Café and with Alberto Asayo's show, and I noticed that he didn't have any cafecito there.
working on that.
You are.
I'm the interior designer behind the scenes. Come visit in 2-3 weeks after the holidays.
I was on the
Yo
whole
voy a
show and
tener
I'm
el
like, ¿dónde está el
café.
cafecito? Estoy seca.
Yes. Shout out to Alberto for believing in me and my passion.
I'm excited to come back and find some
Yes.
cafecito when we go next time. Legacy. Kelly, if you were to say, what's the legacy that you want to leave, right, in Chelsea City Council? What would be that one thing that you would say, this is going to be my legacy, this is what I want to leave?
My legacy always involves our youth. And so making sure that we have a student rep on our city council. That's something I'm actively working on. And that seat has voting power. Second, I want to ensure that our schools are top of the art. So our schools, the majority of our schools are 25 years plus old, right? They're super old. Right now, we recently passed a budget that includes a humongous renovation in our Chelsea High School where it's giving the students a university feel. They'll have a university level cafeteria. They'll have a beautiful auditorium where they can do their plays and all of the wonderful things that our high school students are doing. And also their track field is brand spanking new.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
And so making sure that our students feel loved and feel supported in every aspect.
And have that outlet, which is sports.
Correct. And also, when I was on the school committee, I felt as though we were not shunned, but we were not seen as important as an elected body. And I would always challenge our city council at the time to include us in conversations because the future is in our youth.
100%.
And if we don't take care of them, then
And
what's our future
And I'd
gonna be
say
like?
our youth are the now and the future.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? People always say like the
They're
youth
the
are
future.
the future. No, my loves, they're the now and the future. If we're not preparing our youth to, to think about what what their passion in life and what they're gonna do, that has a ripple effect on us as well. And if we're not listening to their needs, the fact of the matter is that even though as a young person, young people always would say like, but I've also done a lot of youth organizing work. And when I was a youth organizer and a youth coordinator, a lot of our young people say, but I don't have a say. I'm not 18. I can't vote.
They feel like they don't have a say.
Right. And I'm like, no. The truth is that as an adult, we can learn from young people and young people can learn from us. There's so much intersectionality and we have to foster that. And we have to break these, barriers of young people feeling like they don't have a voice.
Well, that comes from being Latino, You children are not seen and not heard. Y cállate la boca y no te metas, and you have nothing to do with this, and no sabes.
We were kids.
Vea, calladito se ve más bonito.
I
know.
So they feel like they don't have a voice because
that's
then there's the other ones that have too much of a voice.
Yep.
But speaking of the youth and initiatives, you were telling me earlier, Melinda, about an initiative that has to do a little bit with real estate. Talk to me about that.
So, aside from being a city councilor, I wear multiple hats. My full-time gig is being a fellowship director for the fellowship for FEED. So it's a long name.
It's a long name.
The Fellowship for Equitable Affordable Housing Development.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. And feed. So we're feeding the future. That's what we say. This initiative supports people of color getting into real estate development.
Ooh, me likey.
Yes. So for folks that are in the real estate industry, in particular in the CDC world, so in the nonprofit world, so CDCs are community corporations, community development corporations that build affordable housing. Aside from the wraparound services that they have for community engagement, that is a staple of what they do. It's really interesting because in the community engagement, you see a lot of people of color, Latinos, they represent the community that they're in. The real estate side, you may or may, most of the time, you don't see people of color. You may see them in like the entry level positions or like yourself that has made a staple and a name for yourself. But, that's not usually the case, right? And so what I love about what I do is two things. This is I do undoing racism work aside from, that is one of my passions. And I would say that this is the first tangible undoing racism job that I do and that I see it. And I say this because I'm supporting people of color, BIPOC community, getting into real estate development. They start in a 2-year program as associate project managers. They are placed in a host organization like Neighborhood of Affordable Housing or the Neighborhood Developers, TND, as associate project managers. They're getting the experience in the 2 years while they're working in the field. Aside from, the hands-on experience doing their work, the fellowship is supporting them in getting the trainings that they need. So we're reinforcing that day-to-day with the training. And they have mentors. We do peer-to-peer and one-on-one check-ins, right?
These are the programs that we need. These are the programs that our tax dollars need to go to. Because like you said, we're fostering young adults into being young entrepreneurs.
Yes. And so you start at a 60K level position. And it's an employment. It's not an internship like AmeriCorps or something like that. It's a small, no, it's a job. It's a real employment opportunity with a full benefits package. And then 20,000 K of training on top of that. So if you think about it, it's a 2-year program. That's like a master's degree, essentially, right? So you're working on the field and getting a master's degree program at the same time. And our goal is for you to come out of that as a seasoned project manager so that when you are working in other CDCs, you can make 6 figures. And that is creating generational wealth for people that look like you and I, that know the struggles of working in a low-income community of color. Who better to create our affordable housing units that would look luxurious and have that good quality living than us?
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that initiative with us. And I definitely want to put more information regarding that with the podcast.
We'll share the links.
Yes,
Share the
absolutely.
links.
We're recruiting fellows now, so it's the time.
This is excellent. Kelly, I'm going to wrap up by asking you if you had to give any tips for young people listening today that want to get into politics, what would be your tip?
Great question. I would say show up to our meetings.
Get
Learn
involved.
about it. Get
Listen.
involved. Listen. Meet all your local politicians and ask them, how did they start? Simple question. How did you start your political journey? And from there, you can pick from ideas, pick on ideas, and learn about how to pull papers, when are the deadlines, how to open up a bank account, what it is to run a political campaign. Yeah.
If I can add, in addition to what it is to run a political campaign, I think it's super important to always network and build your base and to mobilize people, because you need, when you're running a campaign, you need such a support system to go door knocking, phone banking. People don't get voted by just social media. I know we live in like a virtual world.
Yes.
But when it comes to
Hit
politics,
those doors.
It's face to
it's face
face.
to face.
Hit
It's
those
face,
doors.
You know,
Politics
it's face to
is
face.
local. Politics is face to face.
And I
100%.
say and I say this, you know, as a politician, I'd be honest and say I'm not a big fan of politics, right? It's the truth. I feel like we do it because it's
We
not
have to.
because we have to. It's not self-interest, you know. It's because we want what's best for the community, right? Having that said, I think it's super, super important to always remember where you come from, build your base, and meet people where they're at. And don't forget to build relationships. Don't burn any bridges.
Be very careful.
Be
In
very
business
careful.
or in politics.
Yes, in todo. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, if you bring your true self in these spaces, and as a Latina woman, that is a lot. Like, what does that mean to you and to you? It could look different. It could be different. But, you know, as long as it's not self-interest and you're listening to the community needs, you'll get there.
You're doing
And
it
you'll
for the
win.
right reasons.
You're doing it for all the right reasons.
So, in wrapping up, I'm part of an association called NARP, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and we have 10 disciplines, the NARP 10. NARP number 7 is be politically savvy because policy matters. Like you said, it may not be about politics, but it's definitely about policy. Thank you, Kelly Garcia. Thank you, Melinda Vega, for being here sin permiso. Vinieron con permiso para hablar con todos ustedes. Muchas gracias por estar aquí.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you for
Gracias
having us.
tenerlo. Besitos.